We love coffee and chatting, but we also love connecting. Welcome to Coffee with Val, a place where we will get to know the story behind the professional. Grab your mug, because I'll start the coffee with one secret ingredient. To find out more, keep listening. Coffee with Val, where the most important ingredient is you.
Hi, welcome to Coffee with Val. Today, we're gonna start our first episode with Manny Hernandez. He's a designer and an amazing person that I met in LinkedIn. So let's get to know him. Manny, is that how your name is pronounced, or am I doing incorrectly?
You are doing it perfectly. Yeah, Manny Hernandez. That's my name. My real name is Manuel Hernandez. It's funny that you asked about pronouncing and pronunciation. I talk about this all the time and how important someone's name is, and coming from Hispanic background. I remember it's funny back in elementary school. My teacher asked me for the first time. I think it was kindergarten. It was my first time kind of in school, and my teacher asked me, how do you pronounce your name? Like it said Manuel, and I'm like, Manuel, and she's like, what is it? And she asked like probably 5 times, and I'm like, I keep saying Manuel, it's Manuel. And she's like, Manuel, like I don't get it. And everybody started laughing. And then she's like, can I just call you Manny? And I'm like, and everybody's like, kind of like, is that okay? And I'm like, yeah, as long as people aren't laughing, I'm more than happy for you to call me whatever you want. So Manny, that's my name. She kind of gave me it.
Okay, amazing. So Manny, tell us about a little bit of yourself. So your name is Manny, but it's from Manuel. Tell us about your current position. What do you study?
Sure. So I'm a graphic designer, illustrator, and lettering artist. I studied graphic design at Rhode Island School of Design, and after studying graphic design there, I decided to, aside from continuing to design and I have my 9-to-5 job and so forth, I like experimenting through art. And so I thought that illustration and lettering was something that I could continue to like push my skills and kind of learn while simultaneously continuing my career as a designer. So I'm all of those things, if it makes sense.
Okay, so designer, but also illustrator. Okay, amazing. And
Right.
Did you study in which university or college?
Yep, I studied at Rhode Island School of Design here in Rhode Island. I did 3 years here. Before RISD, I studied at Community College of Philadelphia, and I did about 3 years there. And I made my way. I worked really hard there. I met a professor, Terry Peterson, who really kind of took me under his wing. He also went to RISD. And I kind of snuck under his wing and we had really good conversations and before me being at community college, my life was a lot different, where I grew up in a poor neighborhood in Philadelphia, Kensington area, and life was not really great. I was surrounded by a lot of violence and a lot of drugs and so forth. And my goal essentially at that time was basically just to get out of there, right? I didn't do good in high school. I took a year off after being in high school because I didn't get a scholarship to do anything. I couldn't really go into trade school or anything. And so what happened from there, I took a year off. I told my dad, hey Dad, things aren't looking great for me. Let me just take a year off. And he was nice enough. He's a great dad. He was nice enough to just say, you live at home, you do whatever, you can, just find a job, do whatever you can to kind of find yourself and do what you want to do. And so after that, that's when I decided after a year that I went to community college, and I stumbled upon the art and design department. And that's where I met Mr. Terry. And Mr. Terry, he saw something in me really early on that I honestly didn't think of for myself. I didn't see in myself. And so that was really good that I was able to find a mentor there at community college. And so through hard work, dedication, long nights, I got a full ride to go to RISD, a full scholarship to study at Rhode Island School of Design.
Impressive, because as a youth person, we, especially in Latin America, we always struggle with keeping up with the studies. At the same time, you have to work to pay the rent and the food. This is more or less a culture here in Argentina. But in the States, it's kind of different because everything, you need to pay for everything. And it's really difficult to get out to those situations, especially what you have just said in your neighborhood. So it seems like you have a lot of a story there. And another thing that I want to ask you is connected with the leadership side of it and the importance of the mentors. Since you mentioned that you found out the mentor, this person saw something in you that you didn't see, not because perhaps you didn't believe in yourself, because I think that passion inside you was already there, but perhaps you were surrounded with different situations that you cannot pay attention on another thing but getting a job or getting out of that situation, neighborhood, etc., etc. So what can you tell us as an advice for the youth and people that, I don't know, wants to learn more about you? What can you tell me about leadership? What is your communication style? If you can tell us more about it.
Sure. Well, I'll start off by saying that you're right. Mr. Terry, he is still a really great mentor of mine. And he's still in my life after many years of me graduating from community college. And I consider him a friend now. But I also agree that I think it's important to kind of pay it forward. And so that's something that I'm a big advocate for is, I had a mentor, and therefore, if there's someone who wants to learn and has questions, I should be there for that person as well. And so that's kind of my thinking is, my door is always open. My emails are always open. I'm really quick to jump on a call, right? If someone is struggling or needs to kind of get over a hump that I've already got over. I'm a big fan of kind of paying it forward. And so I think that's part of the question. But also there's also like people who are aspiring to move forward in a career or something like that. And I think that the term passion that you use, I think it's one of the most important things, right? I don't know a lot of people who have made it, really far in their path without at least a little fuel, without a little bit of passion. And so I do think that passion is probably one of the most important things for the long term, right? Because it's not to say you can't get into graphic design and probably do 2 years or 3 years and then say, okay, I did my time. It's time to kind of hang up the gloves. I think it's more of a matter of, the long haul, like, what are you going to do for the rest of your life, right? And so my thinking was that I'm trying to get to a place where I want to do this forever, right? And so I think it's about finding something that you love, that you could think of yourself or imagine yourself doing it forever. And so that's my advice for someone who is aspiring to kind of push forward in any career.
Amazing. And how is to lead, or how do you go whenever there are people that don't trust you, or you experience maybe a lack of support?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that it's tough to deal with people who don't trust you. I like, when I work, at least, with my the freelance side, because there's 2 parts to my life, right? I have the 9-to-5 side, and then I have, what I do on the side creatively as freelance work. Usually people, I've been lucky enough that people who I work with reach out to me because they trust me, right? And so they say, I want to work with you because I see X, Y, and Z. I saw this work that you've done, and I really appreciate it. And I want you to do something like that for either our company or our organization. But there's also, the 9 to 5 side, right? And, I guess not everyone has that same kind of trust, right? And there's a ladder, right? And especially if you're like in a corporate kind of environment, you sometimes have to prove yourself. You have to prove that you're able to lead something. You're able to get a project from A to B, to connect with the client, whatever the request is from the client. So sometimes it's not a matter of trusting you to be able to finish a job. Maybe it's the fact that maybe I don't trust you. Maybe you're just too young. You look too young to be at a big table filled with like CEOs or like bigger people. And so I guess the way that I navigated that, or I navigate that, is to get once you get one opportunity, all you need is one. Once you get one opportunity, you have to knock it out of the park and show that you can do it. And so that's something that I was proud of to do at the job that I'm at right now. There was an identity project that we designed, and it was a local project, and that we had to present to higher ups within the organization. And it's a bank, so a lot of suits and ties are affiliated with this, and I had to sell it. Right. And we're talking about typography, and I'm zooming into like the details of what it takes to kind of make a good logo, right? The kerning, like how to space letters, how to make them connect to one another. That's not really something that you could just type on a computer, right? You have to make it kind of do that. It's like a custom thing. And so with kind of showing that you're in, I don't like using the word expert, but that you know what you're talking about. That's basically all they want to know. Manny knows what he's talking about regarding this thing. And at the end, it was so funny. I remember this one project. At the end, once the presentation was over, I showed, I think it was like 5 options, but it was like 2 options that they were kind of debating, like their whole circle was debating, saying, oh, I really love this one. And someone else will say, but I really love this one. And at the end, they said, Manny, what do you think? What do you think is the best resort for this? And I had my favorite, and I told them the reason why I think this is the stronger one. And so from the beginning, I think there was a little bit, it's not that they didn't trust me. It was just, I'm a really young person. I'm probably the youngest one in the room, right? And then by the end, it's like, all right, obviously you know more about typography and about logo design than we do, and you did a really good job with explaining and presenting this. So can you tell us which one is the best? So I think there's kind of a give and take there.
Amazing. But you mentioned a lot of time that you are young. So if you don't mind, how old are you?
I don't mind. And okay, and it's funny that I say that, because I say that I'm young. I was probably young in that table, but I'm not young. I'm pretty on the older side. Like I didn't just graduate. I'm 31 years old. So I feel like I'm kind of in the middle-ish of the spectrum, where old people,
you are young, believe me.
I'm young, okay. But older people, like, people in their 50s, 60s that are still in the industry look at me like, you're just a kid, right? But then there's also people who just graduated who are like 19, 18, that look at me like, man, you are so old. So I guess that's where I'm going with things, where like I feel like I'm kind of in the middle right now.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. And as we're closing up, we have like the motto of this podcast, that is release your own sound. Why not? So in few words, what can you tell us that is kind of your motto or phrase that you go back all the time to inspire yourself or to inspire others?
That's a good question. I think that it's not really related to what I do. It's not related to graphic design or illustration or art. But the thing that I always go back to is to be kind to others. I like, I think it was Simon Sinek who said, you don't quit a job, you quit a boss, right? And so with that being said, it's almost like being a good person to work with, or just forget working with, just being a good person in general is such a, I highly value it. And so I think that being kind is kind of attached to being a good person. And I don't want to get too deep into what a good person or a bad person is, but I just like the idea of being kind to others. When I see someone's work that I really like, I take time out of the day and I write to them.
I saw that. That's something that caught my attention on your post, and yeah, you're always encouraging, and I love that.
Absolutely. I think it's important because I think there's way too many, there's too much ego in our industry, and I don't want to get sucked into that. It's so easy to get sucked into ego and, oh no, I'm better than this person, so therefore I shouldn't reach out to him saying good job on this project. And so I'm totally against that. I love reaching out to people and just writing to them. If there's a podcast interview, I've done that. Like, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to talks. I listen to lectures. And so if there's a lecture that I like, I'm going to email that person. I love your lecture. That was awesome. And just, and it's not because I need anything from them, but I just think that the more, if we had more people doing that, gosh, I feel like our industry would be in such a better place.
Totally. I agree with you.
These are the rapid fire questions with CoffeeWVal. Let's get to know Manny Hernandez a little bit more.
Manny, and we're gonna do like a rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I am ready. Let's do it.
Okay. So, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay. Favorite food?
Favorite food? I'm gonna go the unhealthy route and say pizza.
Amazing. Favorite movie or book?
Favorite movie? I like Get Out, the movie.
Okay. Morning or night?
Night, 100%.
Night person. Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Okay. Walks or runs?
Runs. I don't really do walks. I have to do more runs, but I do more runs than walks.
Okay. City or country?
That's a tough question. I'm so torn right now. That's my life. I was born in the city. I live more in the countryside. Well, a little bit more in the country. I'm still a city-ish, but
I'll say you're in the middle.
I'm in the middle, but more on the city side still.
Like a New Yorker.
Yeah, outside of New York, right?
All right. Best country you ever been to?
Peru, 100%.
Country.
I have to stop saying 100% after all my questions. After all my answers.
Country you would like to visit?
Switzerland. I like the design there, and there's some really cool people there that I'd like to visit.
Languages you speak?
English and Spanish.
Amazing. Are you bilingual in both
Yeah.
of them? Yes? Okay. Age you start working?
I started working 26 actually, really late.
Your major in?
Graphic design.
Best advice you ever been given?
Been given or gave? To me? Been given to me?
You can choose do like a bonus.
You want me to do both of them?
Yeah.
Best advice I've probably given was work like it's like the project is due in 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Is that even real?
It is, because you're efficient. You're like, okay, what does it really need? What does it not need? And And then what best advice I've been given? Gosh, I don't want to get deep. I don't know. I don't know that.
Yeah, go deep. If that's your personality, go into it. I mean, most of the artists are.
I'm definitely not a deep person. Trust me.
Okay.
Best advice I've been given. Life is short.
You know, it's simple.
I told you I wasn't deep.
Yeah, simple can also be deep.
Yeah.
Right, Manny, thank you so much for your time with us, and hope to see you soon. And why don't you tell us where people can find your work, your designs, or whatever you are up to?
Sure. I can be found on Instagram at Manny Hernandez Studio. And that's basically where it's almost like a creative trash can. I just dump everything in there. So you could, and my DMs are wide open. So if anyone has any questions or just want to say hi, I'm happy. I'm always happy to say hi to people.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. And I really enjoy this coffee time with you. Have a nice one.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was really nice. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.